At the beginning of the movie, the Russian Mafia boss is meeting with his trusted courier. During the meeting, the Mafia boss hands over 2 bags and orders the courier to deliver them to someone without any problems. Before they part ways, the Mafia boss also threatens that if the courier dares to betray him or tries to pull anything, he won't hesitate to kill the courier and his entire family. After receiving the 2 bags, the courier says goodbye and heads out right away. The scene then shifts to a construction worker named Dave, who is being called over by his boss. There, his boss apologizes because they have to let Dave go. Dave asks why he's being fired. His boss explains that the project manager found out about Dave's past as a former soldier who was known for being ruthless and often slaughtering Mafia members. That's why the project manager is worried that Dave's old enemies might show up and cause trouble at the construction site. After hearing the explanation, Dave stays silent before walking away to change his clothes. After that, Dave calls his wife, Jen, who lives in the next town. But as soon as she answers, Jen immediately tells him that their electricity bill and mortgage payment are already due. Jen hopes Dave can send money as soon as possible to pay everything off. Hearing that only makes Dave even more stressed because he doesn't have any money at all. On top of that, he just lost his job. Even so, Dave doesn't complain. Instead, he reassures Jen and tells her that he'll come home tomorrow and take care of all the bills.
I trust you.
I'll call you when I can.
I miss you too.
Meanwhile, the Russian Mafia boss's courier is on the way to deliver the package. The courier isn't alone, as several of his partners are with him. Suddenly, 3 local robbers block their vehicle. Without saying a word, the 3 robbers immediately open fire, leading to a shootout. As a result, the courier and his partners are killed. Meanwhile, one of the robbers runs toward the railroad tracks while carrying one of the stolen bags. The other 2 robbers escape in a car and agree to meet up with their partner carrying the bag near the railroad tracks. The scene cuts back to Dave, who is about to get into his car. Coincidentally, the construction site where Dave works isn't far from the railroad tracks. Not long after, the robber carrying the bag suddenly sneaks up behind Dave and points a gun at him, intending to steal his car. As a former Marine known for being ruthless, Dave isn't intimidated. He immediately fights back, and the 2 end up in a brutal fistfight.
Whoa. Tough guy.
After everything is over, Dave returns to his car. He picks up his black bag and puts it inside the car. At that same moment, the robbers' 2 partners arrive and catch a glimpse of Dave driving away. One of the robbers, Mitch, immediately memorizes Dave's license plate because he has a habit of remembering every plate number he sees. Meanwhile, his partner Carlos quickly grabs the black bag their friend had been carrying without caring about what had just happened to him after Dave killed him. After that, Mitch and Carlos head back to their hideout, feeling happy because they think the robbery of the Russian Mafia boss's courier was a success. When they arrive at the hideout, Mitch asks about their other partner. Carlos replies that he doesn't care. The important thing is that the bag is now in their hands, and it should contain $5 million. After that, Carlos tells Mitch to open the bag right away. But when they open it, they find that it's filled with Dave's dirty clothes. It turns out their bag had been switched with Dave's. Carlos is extremely disappointed because all their efforts have been for nothing.
What's this fucking shit? Where's the money?
Mitch then says that he's sure the bag was switched with the one belonging to the big guy driving the white car, Dave. Mitch also says he memorized Dave's license plate, so they can still track him down. Hearing that, Carlos gets excited again. The 2 of them immediately leave to track down Dave's license plate.
3 words, mate.
It was all for nothing. We gotta fucking go.
Meanwhile, the Russian Mafia boss receives a call from his right-hand man, Nikolai, who informs him that the courier carrying the bag has been killed during a robbery. Hearing the news, the Mafia boss immediately flies into a rage and orders Nikolai to find out who dared to steal his bag. At the robbery scene, the victims' bodies are being evacuated by the medical team. The case has also been taken over by police detectives, who immediately begin examining the crime scene. A short while later, Mitch and Carlos arrive at Carlos's uncle's house. It turns out Carlos's uncle is a fence and an informant who has equipment to trace vehicle license plates. Carlos immediately asks his uncle to help track down the license plate Mitch memorized.
You fucking get a crystal ball?
Yeah, I tell you what.
That night, Carlos's uncle manages to find out that the license plate is registered to a man named Dave. He also gives him Dave's home address in the next town. That same night, Mitch and Carlos get ready to go after Dave to take back their bag of money. Not long after they leave, Carlos's uncle goes back inside the house. It turns out Nikolai is already there, staring at him coldly. Up to this point, it hasn't been explained how Nikolai found out that Carlos and Mitch were the ones behind the robbery. The scene then shifts to Dave, who is still on his way back to his hometown in the next town. Feeling exhausted, Dave decides to stop at a motel and plans to continue his trip the next morning.
$5 extra for a TV room.
Right.
That's 50 for the night.
It's a bit.
Room 36.
While in his room, Dave sits quietly, thinking about how he's going to pay all the household bills. Dave has no savings left, and he just lost his job. A little while later, Dave opens his bag to grab a change of clothes, but he's immediately shocked when he sees that the bag is filled with cash. At that moment, Dave realizes that his bag must have been switched with the one belonging to the man he killed earlier. Dave feels both happy and nervous because he really needs the money. On the other hand, he also knows the money must have come from the robbery and could put his life in danger at any moment. In the end, Dave decides to keep the money for the time being, then steps outside for some fresh air. Meanwhile, Carlos and Mitch are taking a break at a bar. Not long later, Nikolai approaches Carlos and Mitch. He immediately sits down at their table and hands them a phone that is already connected to the Russian Mafia boss. It turns out Nikolai tracked him down after killing Carlos's uncle. Through the phone call, the Russian Mafia boss orders Carlos and Mitch to return his bag of money immediately because he already knows they were the ones behind the robbery. The Russian Mafia boss then says that no one has ever dared to cross him. Because of that, he demands to know why Carlos and Mitch had the nerve to pull something like this.
We don't have your fucking money, mate.
We don't have your money.
Get back.
You have souvenir?
At the same time, Nikolai shows Carlos a severed finger belonging to Carlos's uncle and says that his uncle has already been killed. Nikolai then orders Carlos and Mitch to return the bag of money immediately. Carlos swears that the bag was switched and that they're trying to get it back. After hearing the explanation, Nikolai gives them 1 day to return the bag. If they fail to meet the deadline, every member of Carlos's and Mitch's families will be killed.
Understand!
The scene then cuts back to Dave as he returns to his motel room. When he gets inside, Dave is shocked to find that his bag has been stolen. Fortunately, the thief is still nearby and trying to escape. Dave immediately chases after him. Not long later, Dave catches up to the thief, who runs into his hideout. Dave follows him inside and finds a group of thieves partying while using drugs. Moving quietly, Dave tries to take his bag back, but they notice him, and a brutal fistfight breaks out.
Fuck!
Fortunately, Dave manages to kill them all and quickly takes his bag back. Feeling that the place is no longer safe, Dave decides to continue his journey. A little while later, the sun begins to rise, and Dave is still on the road, heading back to his hometown. While driving past a field, Dave is pulled over by a police officer for speeding. Dave apologizes and explains that he's in a hurry to see his wife. Since Dave is a decent man, the officer eventually lets him continue on his way.
Yeah, really? Yeah, I thought you might, mate. And search and go through your car like a... Just don't waste my time.
About 30 minutes later, Carlos and Mitch drive down the same road. Just like Dave earlier, they're pulled over by the same police officer. Suspicious of Carlos's behavior, the officer asks him to open the trunk. Calmly, Carlos gets out of the car and walks to the back. He pretends he's about to open the trunk, but then suddenly...
The fuck, man?
Wait.
All right.
Oh, fuck. I said you're driving this.
After killing the police officer, Carlos and Mitch move his body to a more secluded place. The scene then cuts back to Dave, who calls Jen to let her know that he'll be home soon. Happily, Dave also tells her that he's going to pay off all their bills because he has a lot of money now. It turns out Dave decided to use the money from the bag because he had no other choice. After that, Dave stops at a convenience store to buy a drink and use the restroom. At the same time, Mitch and Carlos drive by and spot Dave's car parked outside. They immediately get out and head into the store. Luckily, when they walk in, Dave is in the restroom and then leaves the store right away. Carlos is furious because Dave manages to escape again. He takes out his anger by killing the convenience store cashier.
Please, please. Fuck, man. I didn't see anything.
Saw his gun, didn't you?
After that, Carlos and Mitch immediately go after Dave. Not long later, they spot Dave driving through a sugarcane field. Mitch immediately opens fire, leading to a high-speed chase.
I fucking love you, man.
During the chase, the car Carlos and Mitch are driving loses traction, so they can't keep chasing Dave. Meanwhile, Dave keeps driving deeper into the sugarcane fields. About 10 minutes later, a farmer walks over to Carlos and Mitch and asks what they're doing there. Carlos claims they got lost because they were following their GPS. After that, Carlos asks the farmer to help pull their car out of the mud. In the end, the farmer helps tow Carlos's car. The scene cuts back to Dave as he calls Jen again. This time, Dave tells Jen to take their son to his grandmother's house immediately. Jen asks if something is wrong. Dave simply says it's an emergency and that he'll explain everything later. It turns out Dave has already decided to face Carlos and Mitch. Dave also realizes they probably found his home address through his license plate. That's why Dave tells Jen and their son to leave right away.
Everything will be fine. You have to trust me.
All right, you do that, Dave. You sort this out.
Night falls, and Dave takes a short break at a farm. Not long later, Carlos and Mitch arrive after spotting Dave's car parked there. Realizing they've shown up, Dave immediately gets ready and prepares his weapons. Meanwhile, Carlos and Mitch split up to search for Dave with their guns in hand. But without them realizing it, Dave is already prepared to face them. Dave suddenly appears behind Carlos and points a gun at him. Carlos, who is also skilled in close quarters combat, manages to dodge, and the two end up in a fight. During the fight, Dave manages to gain the upper hand over Carlos. But then Mitch comes up from behind and points a gun at Dave. At that moment, Carlos tells Dave to just hand over the bag of money and promises they won't bother him anymore. Dave refuses because he also desperately needs the money. Suddenly, it turns out Mitch is shot and killed by Nikolai, who has just arrived. Nikolai explains at the time he gave Carlos, and Mitch has already run out. As agreed before, Carlos, Mitch, and all their family members must be killed. Dave and Carlos quickly take cover behind a car. But Nikolai easily kills Carlos. After that, it's Dave's turn to face Nikolai in a one-on-one fight.
Is this it?
In the end, Dave manages to kill Nikolai. After everything is over, Dave goes to see his wife and son. The next morning, Dave is finally reunited with his wife and son. Dave immediately hugs his son because they haven't seen each other in a long time. Meanwhile, police detectives are processing the crime scene where Carlos, Mitch, and Nikolai were killed. Since the scene is not far from Dave's house, they decide to visit him and ask for a statement.
But they haven't dusted the car yet. You could try your luck out there, you might dig something moment, but not likely around this area. But you know what forensics digs up.
When they arrive, the detective and his partner immediately ask Dave if he was involved in a fight that happened at the farm the previous night. Dave pretends not to know anything because he claims he has just arrived from the next town. Without realizing it, the detective's partner asks Dave if he knows the whereabouts of the Russian Mafia boss's bag of money. Hearing that question, the detective immediately becomes suspicious of how his partner knows about the bag. To keep his secret from being exposed, the officer shoots and kills a detective right in front of Dave. It turns out the officer is a corrupt cop who has been working for the Russian Mafia boss all along. In fact, the person who tipped off the Russian Mafia boss about the stolen bag at the beginning of the movie was also that same officer. After that, the corrupt cop points his gun at Dave and demands that Dave hand over the bag, because he knows Dave has it. But Dave stays silent. Since Dave refuses to talk, the officer is about to kill him. Suddenly, it turns out the corrupt cop is killed by Jen. After all the trouble is finally over, Dave is able to live peacefully with his beloved family while enjoying the bag of money that belonged to the Russian mafia boss. The movie ends.